For decades, the PlayStation has been the market leader, trading wins over the massively successful Nintendo and the competition-hungry Xbox platform. The industry is seeing friction, obstacles, and late deliveries of expected features, offerings, and even true next-generation games in the first couple of years. The up-and-coming Xbox platform with an all-new hardware set is beginning to deliver in nearly every aspect, showing that the streak the PlayStation has enjoyed over the years is not a true guarantee, and that Xbox is hitting all of the most important points to provide what critics are now calling the best place to play. This is Colteastwood. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while since I've had some videos, as news has been slower, but there is some new information and some big improvements coming to the Xbox Series X and S consoles. If you end up enjoying this video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Hit the bell to be notified of new content, and let's see what's improved with the Xbox Series S and X. The Xbox Series and PS5 consoles have been out now for about 9 months as we near the end of the first launch year. Games have been teetering heavy on the PS5 side for the first half of 2021 and heavy for Xbox in this last half of the year, twofold, that is 2 times more games than PlayStation has on offer, with high-rated games, quantity and quality overall. Recently, influencers in the media have spoken out about the PS5's shortcomings that range from hardware deficiencies, lack of features, and a foggy, obscure future of games coming exclusively to PS5. This is not the case with the Xbox. The Xbox platform had a lot to improve over the launch of the Xbox One nearly 10 years ago, and as the team worked hard to make up lost ground, it has brought the new Xbox into a place where nearly every aspect of the console, ecosystem, and platform excel over what many see as PlayStation as their direct competitor. Right now, the Xbox Series consoles are leading the industry in almost every aspect, in power, features, services, flexibility, options, genres, and in exclusives, changing the industry in an evolutionary way. Many facets of the Xbox Series consoles and the platform, as they mature, have convinced critics and the industry that Xbox is in fact leading the market in every way outside of console sales figures, which are wholly inconsequential to a platform that gives Xbox fans more places to play than one piece of hardware. Features that would be considered next generation are finally coming into play with quality and performance on the Xbox. New consoles have touted their support for ray tracing for a long time, which is a post-processing intensive feature that creates much more realistic lighting in a game than traditional methods. So far, it has been pretty ultimately negligible in addition to the amount of hype that was promised. In general, games run faster and more smoothly when ray tracing is turned off. Ray tracing in performance mode on PlayStation 5 sees low quality and lowest setting ray trace reflections and no visual improvement in lighting for the quality degradation compromise. Because of this, an increasing number of players are turning off ray tracing in games. Overall, Xbox Series X runs games at higher settings and resolution targets than the PS5, and in many games, the Xbox sees more frame rate drops than the PS5 running at much lower settings. That is about to change. RDNA 2 features and the maturity of the Xbox SDK or development kit has shown Xbox games to outclass the PS5 as it should, with a slightly faster CPU and a stronger GPU. Recently, Digital Foundry took a look at games running on Xbox Series X and realized that the work with the development kit has finally caught up and games are running better than they did at launch.
But on my playthrough, I actually found it to be super smooth at 60 frames per second. There's barely any drops there. It actually seems to have improved. And yet, I don't know what, Alex, what you make of this. It doesn't look like the game's been updated in like months. So bizarre, right?
I mean, we've heard behind the scenes that at the beginning, especially the console launch, we talked about it back then, and there was, obviously there's controversy about talking about it, but the fact that the Series X launched in a development state with its developer SDK and the tools using it, or even the drivers and the internal spec was not actually completely finished almost on a certain level. So actually, just by the game development, the Xbox Series X getting updated over time, could actually see moments where we see games getting performance boosts, because the issue wasn't necessarily the game software itself, but something in the Xbox software development stack. So I wouldn't be surprised completely. I mean, I've heard from other developers that they've seen through Xbox updates that they've seen greater performance, like on the ray tracing side, or a greater the ability to program like an LDS or something like that, like it was Scratch. They've had these things that have been updated over time, so it would be pretty interesting if this is actually a case of that with Control.
Now, what I want to know is, have we seen this before? The idea where the console OS or something on the software side was impacting performance in a way that a game is fixed by a further update to the OS level rather than the game itself. I feel like this is kind of new territory for consoles.
Now we are seeing that games that mysteriously ran slightly under the PS5 will reach what should have been the launch potential for Xbox Series X, as the development software in the OS that uses the full power of the Xbox will be realized in the first year and beyond. It's going to be a long generation, and with Fidelity FX Super Resolution, variable rate shading with full RDNA 2 features, total next generation games will look and play best on Xbox. Speaking of full next generation games, Xbox has an entire slated roadmap of next generation games releasing this next year and beyond that can only be played on Xbox Series consoles and PC. Right now, the only games announced exclusively for the PS5 are cross-generation releases coming to the PS4 as well. Gamers are hungry for a unique hardware-demanding game on the new consoles that is only possible on the new PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. PlayStation released the remake Demon's Souls, Returnal, and Ratchet & Clank this year, but their biggest games are coming next year to the PS4. Overall, PlayStation has 12 studios creating amazing games for the PS5, and Xbox has 23 doing the same thing. Xbox will have more games, and with the new proven talent, they will offer quantity and quality. Xbox has all of these games coming in 2022 and 2023 that will only release on the new Xbox Series consoles to take advantage of the intended performance, visual upgrades, and the fast I/O of the full RDNA 2 hardware set in the Xbox Series S and X. Xbox has announced and shown this far about 8 next-generation only games that will come after this holiday, and PlayStation has 3 to 4 games coming that are promised to share the release with the 8-year-old PS4. One of the most prominent complaints about the PS5 and Xbox Series consoles is the SSD storage. Talking to the former head of hardware at Xbox, I was told that the cost of expanding storage would be the biggest difficulty before the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X's were announced, as solid-state storage can cost half as much as the console using it. Fans are frustrated that the PS5 has a 6-step process for installing the NVMe M.2 drive, but the install steps for the PS5 are not the problem. Xbox has the overall better option with the Seagate expansion card, which is plug and play. It is not only convenient, but more reliable than the PS5, as PC building expert Robbie Tech explains. See, the part that people don't know is that many Gen 4 NVMe's have a less than optimal read-write, meaning that the lifespan for moving games on and off those drives is very limited. So even though it's compatible, it's not optimal, which has a massive read-write rating, but a 1 terabyte is also $239 without a heatsink. Problem is, consumers will go for the least costly option that is approved and then get angry when the drive fails. Unlike the Xbox version, which is CVL and ensures that won't happen. Close quote. Xbox's SSD solution will become cost competitive with the PS5's SSD expansion as the Seagate agreement ends this November, and more companies are able to create the Xbox expansion cards, which will drive down prices in line with compatible drives for the PS5. Xbox's expansion has never been in beta, and unlike the PS5, is fully covered under warranty and backed by Microsoft. Xbox themselves have unlocked the potential of over 100 back-compat Xbox One games to run at 60 or 120 FPS when they were normally locked to 30 FPS on console. Xbox offers over 3,000 legacy Xbox games as old as 2001 on the original Xbox with upgraded visuals and performance. Because of the ecosystem in back-compat, all of your saves from decades ago come with you for free without a paid cloud save service locked behind a paywall. In this respect, Xbox is doing more for game preservation than any other console. Even though you need to get the update online, Xbox is still the console that does the most to preserve games. Everything about the Xbox is faster over the competition, with games resuming immediately, loading competitively fast with a 2-second gap compared to PS5 with a supposed 2 times faster SSD. Xbox consoles being future-proof with next-generation features that the biggest developers and newest game engines will utilize in games, as next year, games mostly will become all next-generation. It's great to see the improvements Xbox has made with the new consoles, and it's rewarding to seeing it pay off in release games and new ones on the way. Simply put, Xbox gamers are waiting far less to play their games, and with a jam-packed holiday season and 2 to 3 years of games already announced, Xbox fans have the most improved console, and they are not waiting for their games any longer. This is Colteastwood. Thanks for checking out this video. I know news has been a little bit crazy, and engagement and people excited for news has been slow because there hasn't been a lot to talk about. But we're getting into the fall season very soon where there'll be new announcements and more games are going to be shown. Also, I wanted to remind people that I'm still doing the Xbox Newscast podcast, and that is something I'll be doing every Monday, and I hope for those that are here to see the big production videos, I'll be ramping up more production videos during the week to offset those that don't want to sit and listen to the podcast. If you've been watching this channel for a while and want to support what I do, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell to be notified of new content as it comes out each and every week. Also, you can join the channel membership or the Patreon. There are multiple tiers there that get you early access to videos as well as monthly giveaways for merch and games. But I want to know what you think of the new improvements for Xbox. When the console came out in November, we were told that it would run better than the PlayStation, and now it has taken several months for everything to come together. But the interesting part of all this, not that it really matters if one console outperforms the other, but it is going to be a long generation, and Xbox has done so many things. They've improved in so many ways that'll make this platform so much better than it's ever been before, and I'm truly excited about it. So while you're in the comment section, try to have a healthy conversation about what you're excited about and what you prefer, and as always, please, be nice.